you ready to heal your mind, body, and soul from the inside out? Welcome to the Real Healing Institute show with Michelle Sinclair, divine healer and spiritual teacher, where spiritual transformation meets practical guidance to break free from limiting beliefs, subconscious pain, and energetic blocks. This is a powerful space for those seeking true healing and enlightenment. Michelle's teachings are rooted in her deep study of the Christ letters and the spiritual awakening that came from her unwavering dedication to divine truth. She helps individuals navigate their inner healing journey through subconscious soul healing techniques and spiritual teachings by uplifting the vibrational resonance of our thoughts, words, and actions that shape the very fabric of our lives. It is time to learn the profound understandings of universal love. The Real Healing Institute show starts now. Hello and welcome everybody to the show here. My name is Michelle Sinclair, owner of the Real Healing Institute, and today my guest is Alara LaPlante. So we are co-founders of the Cosmic Christ Force, which we're going to tell you all about today. And what we're talking about today is embodying Christ consciousness, how you can do this, and the little steps that you'll be taking. So first of all, I want to introduce Alara. She is a wonderful human being. We actually met on an airplane, which we got more to tell you about that another time. But what a wonderful experience it was meeting her. I will tell you that after she gives herself a little introduction here.
Thank you. Well, where to start? Yeah, so for me, coming to this point, lots of fun stories to share there, but I had a very long, decades-long healing journey that led me through spaces in the conventional medicine, functional medicine, and then eventually into the spiritual healing path. And really glad that it did. Ultimately, it culminated in remembrance of many, many, many past lifetimes, other lifetimes on this planet and beyond, and starting to see the way that it all pieced together into a bigger story of not only where I have been and where I'm headed, but where we are headed as a planet, as a collective in creation, and how consciousness manifests into form and continues to evolve and progress and grow. So I feel very blessed to have been on this journey and then to be meeting people now who are in such alignment with divine consciousness, divine love as Michelle, and stepping out into these guided endeavors such as creating the Cosmic Christ Force. Yeah.
So let us tell you about that. So the Cosmic Christ Force, what we have been doing is we've been holding daily circles. Everything that we do is guided by the divine. We just do what we are told, whether we're leaving the house, going on a hike, or doing this or that, it is because we were instructed to do so. So what we've been doing in these daily circles is we will, set a container. This is Alara opens it up, and you will know, if you join in on one of our daily Zooms, or if you've ever met Alara in person, that there's just something that you can't quite put your finger on, that there's something that is happening there. So when she opens up our circles, there will be energy that starts to come in. And one of the biggest things that she has introduced to me is our signature frequency. And so when she calls this in, so this is the signature frequency at a core soul level.
Untouched by low frequency experiences in this lifetime or any other. It's the essence of who we are just beyond our original, we'll say, conception at the level of divine consciousness. When we came into our uniqueness, our individual expression, we're tapping into that original essence and realizing that then we brought that here. Many of us as volunteers or those that came to this planet, we brought that here to co-create with this planet. So we also call in the signature frequency of this planet with the intention of then combining and aligning, really getting into that divine alignment so that we're co-creating with great intention and from that place of divine love and alignment.
Mm-hmm. And so it's just quite a magical thing. I am a seer. So when we have people come in, I'll be seeing the energy people and we see that this needs to be adjusted. And so these things will come through. And so when she's calling in the signature frequency, I'm seeing what this is doing to people, and you can actually physically feel it. And it's this feeling of yeah, this feels really, really good. So we call that in, and then I will channel messages, whoever happens to show up that day. And the intent is that whoever comes to the Zoom or comes live, we're here in Sedona, Arizona, whoever comes, that there will be messages there that are, specific to them, but also that it will resonate with the whole group. So we would like to invite you guys to join us anytime we have this daily. So if you feel a pull to come, it's because you're supposed to be there. So there will be information here, and we will talk about this a little more later. So what we're going to discuss here is embodying Christ consciousness. So the first question is, what are the benefits of eliminating the ego? What are the benefits of eliminating the ego?
Well, where do you want to begin with that? Yeah. And what a process that is. And really respecting the divine timing and right order of peeling away the layers so that context is ready for us to integrate the experiences that we have and really come into a grounded sense of presence with this expansion as we clear and thin the ego mind. And really, yeah, so when we talk about the ego, well, how would you define the ego? That might be a good place to start.
So the ego to me is essentially who we think we are. And our ego will be in our mind, and we will hold things in there that's like, ooh, this isn't right. I don't like this. This isn't good. It's the place where we would hold anger, resentments, things that are low vibrational within ourself, because we think like this is who I am. It also would hold any things like rejection. Like, let's say that you hear a new message and you're like, oh, I haven't heard this message before. Ooh, that doesn't sit well with me. It's your ego that is tuning into that, because when you are in full Christ consciousness, you are just in a state of pure love, and you have love for everything, and you actually don't judge anything, no matter how perceivably bad it might be, because you see the beautiful things that are in it. I know for myself, and I'm sure for Laura as well, that it has been the most difficult things that I've gone through in my life that actually led me to enlightenment, because I was in such a place of pain that I had to heal these things. It was like I knew that what we're putting out is returned back to us. And so I knew I couldn't keep putting out this resentment that I had over something that had happened in my life. I knew I needed to heal it, and it was going. I went up to my cabin for several weeks. I'm like, I'm not coming back till I've forgiven, until I'm enlightened. And that was exactly what happened. And it was the most difficult thing I could possibly have forgiven. But because I was able to achieve it, my mind was empty, and could only be filled with the love, and could only be filled with the acceptance of what happened and the thankfulness for what happened. Whereas, I know at the time, I wasn't very thankful when it happened. It was a tragedy in my life. So when we're talking about the ego, what are the little things that we can do daily that will eventually get us to where we need to be?
So let's talk a little bit more about the ego, in that I feel like the ego is a set of mental constructs that we have formed through our experiences in this lifetime, and sometimes carried over from others, that help to position us in a way to where we feel protected. A lot of times, and you can take this all the way back to the tribal roots, if you will, or the primal roots, way back in humanity, where it was, it felt safer. It's, again, you can go into like Christ letters, and we've been talking a lot lately about bonding and rejection, and you can see this in so many different ways in our reality. But it's like we pull close what feels familiar, what feels safe, right? And we push away what feels different, what feels unrecognized. And so, and this is just normal human tendency, right? So realizing that and starting to step beyond, now talking about what you can do daily to work with this, right? Starting to really notice when we come into judgment. And this will go into finer and finer nuances as time goes along. It gets more and more subtle. At first, it's just noticing where we project or judge others because things are different. And then eventually it comes to the inner voices, and really getting familiar with, even for myself within relationships, it's like, wow, where am I, where am I just going into old patterns of, like, oh, I want you and I pull you so close, right? And, oh no, I might get hurt. I better not. I'm going to push you away. And so it's interesting, like how the ego really does. There's so much positioning to explore there. But I think it starts with that daily, is just really starting to notice and tune in. Where am I in judgment? Where am I finding myself to be other and trying to make myself such? And I will say, like, in witnessing all of these different lifetimes, I've had lifetimes in not every culture around the world, maybe many. There's actually a little poem that I wrote about it. And I will probably not remember it on the spot as we're in broadcast here, but basically there's a line in it that says, I can see no other now. Come full circle, take my bow. And that's really what this lifetime is about. And he talks about that in letter 9 as well. How at a certain point, it's like we've been the red, the blue, the green, we've done all of the colors, right? And then we come into this full circle lifetime, this culmination where we're like, oh no, I think it's time for completion, because there's understanding that has been built. And truly, how can we really embody, and this is Christ consciousness, right? This is the highest possible level of consciousness that we seek to embody, which is that there is no other. There's just universal divine consciousness. There's just love. There's just acceptance. And there's just appreciation for all of the paths that we've traveled and that others are continuing to travel, and blessing all of it.
So you said something too, so about past lives. So we do have karma that comes from these past lives, right? Sometimes we die and we didn't get to resolve that karma yet at that period of time. Sometimes we bring these things in. So let's say that you were betrayed in another life, you might come in with this betrayal wound. And so then what's going to happen in this life to resolve this? You are going to have to be betrayed in this life so that you can learn to accept it, so that you can learn to forgive it. So sometimes people will be feeling things and they won't be able to explain, I don't know why I feel this way. Like this hasn't happened in my life, or, whatever it is. And it is from something that happened in the past, and you came back here to resolve that thing so that you could get into alignment. So I'll throw it back to you here in 1 second, but I just want to remind you guys here that you are listening to the Real Healing Institute show. There is daily podcasts that I have that you can find out there on YouTube. And I also want to invite the first and second caller who calls in here today. You can find the number there on the screen. To join our Christ Light circles that we are speaking of. We hold these daily, and we would love to have you in. So if you feel compelled, call in and you can join us for free. And if you aren't the first or second caller, totally cool. You can still come and join us anytime. We are donation based. So talking about coming into this life and having to heal these things. Can you talk about how, and it doesn't feel like a blessing, but can you talk about how this is a blessing that then leads you to be able to embody the Christ consciousness?
Yeah. Well, it's all in the lens that we use. What is the lens that we're looking through? There is a blessing in everything. Yeah. So karma is our opportunity to attain wisdom. And our karmic path is our opportunity for learning and to attain wisdom. For me, coming into this lifetime, and part of my path in this lifetime is to remember and to be able to integrate those experiences and those remembrances, which can be very interesting at times, right? When I'm walking in, I'm a normal woman from Missouri who moved to Sedona, but going into rooms, sometimes there are souls embodied in a place where I've not met them in this lifetime yet, but suddenly I will have this overlay of familiarity from our karmic paths and ways that we've touched in other lifetimes. And that can be rather intense. It can be a bit disorienting, confusing, etc. You might have to bring me back on path here, because I've got a lot of memories and different things flooding in that are possible examples here. I'll say this. perhaps most notably, and one of the reasons that we're sitting here together, is the remembrance that I was Yeshua's sister in the lifetime when he was incarnated here. I don't like to speak of the way that that ended for him or for myself, which was no less violent. But the memories of the love, the relationship, the connection, the way that I'm able to viscerally feel the remembrance of what it was like to hold his hands or to be healed by him, and then to be able to come and bring that in and embody it. What a gift. Now, in order to get to that gift, I had some more traumatic memories that needed to be processed. So it's been a peeling away. And so, yeah, the karma, well, it is what it is, right? There's the potential for gratitude in all things. And yeah, we don't, I didn't get to just selectively say, oh, I'd only like to remember that. I'd only like to, and then also it's trusting the divine timing so that the mind and the system are ready for more to come in, and allowing the time for the healing in between. There's so much I could say here, and I hope I didn't diverge too much from the original question.
No, this is great. So this brings up kind of how we met, which was on an airplane. And so we're sitting there, and my friend knew her, and so they're talking. We happened to just be sitting in the same row on this airplane, and this is the second flight of the day. I'm a little tired. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna meditate. So as I love to do, I always ask for proof that whatever I'm getting is correct. So I'm sitting there meditating, whatever. I go to the bathroom, I come back, and I was like, okay, I got to tell you guys what came through. It seems like I'm supposed to tell you. And it was about fingerprints, and it was about the creation, right? That it's the mother's energy, her vibration, the father's energy, and they're like waves that go out and they kind of swirl and connect together, and that this is what makes the fingerprints. And there was a little more to it than that. But I'm telling Alara this, and she's like, whoa, okay, I needed to hear this because I've been talking about fingerprint activations. And I'm like, what is this? Give me some of this. And so we do the thumbs together, and all of a sudden I am seeing her life as Yeshua's sister. And I'm like, oh, this is so sweet. Like, oh, how nice. And then I'm seeing, the unfolding of like what happened at the end. And it was so extreme. And this all came to me probably 30 seconds. I'm not
couple
sure.
minutes, but yeah, what was interesting to me was as we connected, she said, yeah, fingerprint technology. I said, oh, right, like thumbprint technology. And you're like, excuse me, what? And I'm like, yeah, this came through to me a couple months ago. And you're like, ah, and I'm like, oh, and they said, sure, go for it. So we connected. So yeah, I heard at a certain point, there was energy exchanging. As there was an activation, and these are, we do activations in our Christ Light circles as well. There's always energy. So whatever is coming through for the highest and best for us in all of creation is what I'm requesting. And so, yeah, we're doing the activation, and there was this, I heard, see me. I heard it audibly. And then at that moment, there was this surge of energy that went between us, and there was this visceral reaction from Michelle and some tears that came, and I was thinking, what did she just see? And she opened her eyes and said, you loved your brother so much. And I said, yeah, I did. And it was so affirming for me as well, because this wasn't something I had shared publicly yet. It was still very fresh. Yeah.
And kind of the message that came through to me that was like so powerful was, you actually need to tell people this. You actually have to tell people this, which was affirming, because you're like, I don't know if I should tell people this at that point. And that was the message, was it needed to come out.
I knew I should tell people this. Yeah. But having the, and this is, again, that's the karmic opportunity too. To step into the courage, to step into that authentic expression, to step into the divine alignment and say, no, this is who I am. This is why I came. And frankly, it's the culmination of many, many, many lifetimes from what I've seen on this planet and beyond. So it's not optional for me to get into this alignment, which is just as for him, it was not optional. Yeah. As much as I, wanted to beg and plead, like, please don't do this, don't go, he would have been living a lie not to step into that. Like, we must. And when we don't, this is what brings on so much physical disease and other issues, in our lives. Disease is just dis-ease. How do we heal it? Well, we get into divine alignment, which creates ease, right? Because it aligns this avatar that we're in, if you will, with the right path that the soul designed it for. So these are not optional things. I
Yeah.
knew this very well through my own health journey by this point. Yeah.
We would also like to invite any callers. If you guys have any questions, you can call in with questions that we will actually answer in the next show that we have coming up in 2 weeks. So this is every Wednesday morning, 9:30 Pacific time that we have this show here. So how involved is a spiritual practice to embody Christ consciousness? This is the next question, because I know many people will see, oh, these people have these special gifts, they can channel and they can know what's needed, and I don't have any of these things. And this is not true at all. It's like saying, that guy's so jacked. Well, yeah, that guy goes to the gym all the time, and you want to be jacked, well, you got to go to the gym. So how involved is your spiritual practice daily? Like what does this look like?
I'd say it goes beyond daily. For me, it's been years, a few years of devotion, to the point that, even last year in January, I took a drive across country. I would literally pull up to the stop sign and go, okay, left, right, or straight. I mean, I took some pretty extraordinary acts because I was divinely inspired to do so. And I knew that I had a calling in this lifetime, and that it was beyond my own personal sense of importance that I had with the things that I was doing in my life at that time. So I would say it starts there. What are you called to do? And really, it's an experiment of surrender. So for me, it started with that, and many years of surrender and sacrifice and prayer and meditation. And then at a certain point, it becomes natural. For me, that has been the progression. As far as daily practice, meditation daily, doing things to honor the self, really listening to the intuition. When does the body need to slow down? Are there relationships that are toxic, distracting? Are we watching or consuming things that are perhaps putting frequencies or impressions in that we're going to then have to clear out? How do we keep the inside of the vessel as clean as possible so that the outside is also clean? These are some things that come to mind. In the Christ letters, he actually does a really, I've only just listened to these, by the way. I didn't know actually about the Christ letters until I met Michelle, and just literally yesterday I was listening to a couple. I'm like, oh, right, these are all the things that I knew. And I didn't know how I did know how I knew them, it turns out, I guess, but I didn't know how I knew them before this. But yeah, just a daily meditation practice can be extraordinarily, extraordinarily important and helpful. And it's really quite simple to do.
It's just taking the time. And, we believe we don't have the time. Some of us, like, oh, I don't got the time for that. Well, you just have to make the time. It's a must. I know for myself, it was through studying the Christ letters for many years. And I would sit there and I would listen to it before bed, and I would read them. And then I would have these bursts, and it talks about this in the Christ letters, of that you will get these bursts, and like, you'll know that but within like 15 to 30 minutes, it would kind of wane away. And then you'd be left with like, oh, why did this get taken away? But it's because you would have these little inklings of doubt that would come in, that what you were getting was real. And so when I went up to my cabin and like, I'm not coming back until this is achieved, which obviously that was because it was supposed to happen then at that time that it happened in this way. But, it was through days and weeks of just sitting there and studying and meditating and just sitting there and not moving and allowing the divine to move my body when it wanted to, or to sing or to dance or whatever it happened to be. And so I got this burst, this enlightenment that came through me, and I understood how everything worked. And it was like, oh, okay. And my mind is cleansed and clear. And it wasn't until the next day that I'm out for a walk with the dog, and this tree is calling to me, and I go over to the tree. Anyways, long story short, I connect with it, and I then felt all of the love of the entire universe flowing through me, and it washed away any doubt that I had. And then it was maybe even later that day or the next day that, this bird comes to me and is like, hey, you need to heal this person. And it was like, I can do that? Okay, I don't know. And then I saw the process of it, which was just in ecstatic thankfulness, because I knew this love so well. I knew that there was absolutely nothing that it could not do. And so when I'm working with clients, especially for physical ailments or things like that, this is what I'm connecting them to. And then, they have a choice in that moment. Are they going to let it go or not? And so far, they always let it go because they're connected to this love. So what tips would you give to people who are maybe discouraged in their spiritual practice? What's something that what kind of encouragement would you like to give?
Well, and this is something that, it used to be that there would be people that would be devotees and they would go off to a monastery or to, and it's sort of what I'm hearing from us is like, we left our lives and we did all the, and I just want to say that this can be done as what they would call a householder, right? This is not, you don't have to run off into into the wilderness,
into the desert.
If you can, go do that. If you're called to it, it's fantastic. And also, there's bills to pay and life to live, right? So you do what you can. And you listen to your intuitive hits and you listen to your body. Your body will never lie to you. It will tell you exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it. And it's one of your best barometers. Breathing, breath work can be extraordinarily powerful. Sitting with medicine teachers, if that's something you're called to, and only if and when that's something you're called to, can help to break the ego down a bit more. I worked in medical clinics and there was a lot of research and study around that. So that's why I mention it. I'm very well versed and studied in that, although it's not necessarily something that has to happen. And then of course, just really tuning in it, like I said, the breath, listen to the body, and just, try to just have patience and compassion with yourself as you go on this journey. It is, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Don't rush the process. Trust it. Allow it.
I think one of the big things too is, what are you taking in? And is it uplifting you or is it downgrading you? And be aware of that. Is this TV show uplifting you, downgrading you? When I came back from the cabin, I know we turned on this show and immediately, I could feel this energy just sinking down in me and realize unacceptable. I cannot watch shows like this because they are insulting my consciousness, the love that I am. So yeah, also just being very aware of what you surround yourself with, what's your environment, and what you are mentally taking in, because that is just so very, very extremely important.
And some people may project that this is selfish, but if you look at the meaning of the word selfish, it's ish behind the word self, which ish behind anything just emphasizes the previous word. More like yourself. As long as it's taken and as every action is taken from a place of unconditional love and what is for the highest and best for you and for all of creation, trust that. Trust your process, step into your power and allow it to unfold. It's okay to be yourself.
And you're exactly where you need to be at this moment. You're not off the path, you're not behind, you're not ahead. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. So if you're hearing something here today and it's resonating with you, it's for a reason. And so, you can take it deeper, and we would love to hear from you. And we would also love to have you join our circles, which you can find in the description. There's a link there that you can just pop on and connect with us. So thank you so much for joining me here in the show. We will both see you in not next Wednesday, the Wednesday after that at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
On the show. This is wonderful. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you for joining the Real Healing Institute show with me, Michelle Sinclair. Tune in every second and fourth Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com for more empowering ways to spread love and set yourself free. Together, we'll elevate the consciousness of the planet. Stay connected. Follow me on social media, subscribe to the podcast, and explore the Mental Cleanse series on YouTube. Ready to go deeper? Book a session with Michelle at therealhealinginstitute.com. Until next time, keep healing, keep growing, and remember, love is the only way.